Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new, my name is Brendan, and here we teach that what you are thinking, feelingly, and imagining throughout your day is creating your physical experience. Now, today I want to talk to you about something that is very subtle, but I think this happens a lot. This has happened with me, with multiple things that I've tried to manifest. It's happened with people that I've talked to through one-on-one coaching or just in the comments. And it's something that tends to hold us back in a way that we don't realize. And what it is compromising on your desires. So, for example, say you want to manifest abundance. So, when we first learn about manifestation, maybe we start to think, okay, I want to win the lottery. I want millions of dollars. And then you imagine for a while, you try to remain faithful, and you don't manifest it. So then you bring it down. You say, okay, well, that didn't work. And so I want to manifest $100,000. Okay, so then you bring it down to that, and you're looking and looking, probably still not ideally embodying the state. And then you feel like you failed, so you start to think, okay, well, I just need this much. Maybe you calculate and figure out how much you need to get by. And so you kind of compromise your way down to the bare minimum. And when we start to manifest the bare minimum, and it's not just about finances, it could be about love, it could be about anything, living situation. When we start to manifest the bare minimum, we are not in our strongest creator state. And what I mean by that is we are told in the Bible to be imitators of God as dear children. Now, children are naturally very imaginative. If you ask them what they want to be, they might say an astronaut with nothing in their mind but the thrill and the joy of going to space. They don't have the limitations of how long it's going to take in school, how difficult it might be to do all the math and all these things that many people maybe try and fail at. They don't have logic in it at all. They're going purely based on what fascinates them, what excites them, what is wonderful in their mind, in their imagination. And we, over time, because we've been entrenched in a physical world that seems pretty bad. A lot of times, if you're looking at the news, if you're looking at circumstances, the 3D seems pretty bad often if you don't know how to control your inner workings of imagination, right? And to block out that which is negative and assume a positive state. So, being trained as we are, programmed as we are to make everything logical, make everything rational, make everything reasonable, we end up compromising ourselves out of what is meant for us. That doesn't necessarily mean that every single one of us who wants to manifest a lottery win, that it's meant for us. Maybe more money than the lottery has available is meant for you, and you can get it in a way that's more fulfilling than just winning, okay? Maybe you can get it through something that makes you feel like you're giving service, or you're providing something to the world, or it's just something you enjoy doing. That depends on your situation, on you as a person, right? Your life's work, your calling. So it really depends. And if right now you're not at the point where you can understand how doing something that you enjoy to make a massive amount of money is more valuable than just winning it in the lottery, then maybe do some reflecting on that. Understand that life is about experience, okay? When you become goal oriented and you start to think, well, I'd rather just win it and figure it out later. Well, the truth is, in that way, if you haven't solved your issues with a wealth or abundance mindset, you could win $10 billion dollars and waste it, squander it, lose it, and end up right back where you were, like many people do, or they end up worse off because they end up manifesting or bringing into their experience these large sums of money, and they don't have the wealth mindset or wealth consciousness necessary to sustain it or increase it through investments or other mediums. So that's something to be aware of. But I want to get back on point here and say that when we compromise ourselves out of what we're actually desiring, which in general is probably just for abundance if we're looking at the money example, or it could be for love, or it could be for, a little bit of different behavior in your current relationship. It could be anything, right? Your living situation. If you start to compromise and you say, well, instead of manifesting my dream home, I would settle for an apartment. And then as time goes by, if you're really focused on lack, if you're focused in worry, if you're focused in fear and negativity, you end up dropping down to the idea of, well, I just need a place to stay. I just need somewhere to go because time is running out and things haven't changed. And you really are operating from a state of lack, okay? This world has trained many, many people to believe that they can't have what they truly want. And so what happens in this situation is we're going from operating from our feeling, right? Neville Goddard said that God, the subconscious, speaks to us through the medium of desire. If you have a desire for freedom, if you have a desire for abundance, if you have a desire for love, whatever it is, be true to that. Because if you start settling or letting the logical, rational, reasonable mind water that desire down to a basic need, then you are losing the magic, the creative magic, okay? So my main point here is to help you understand that you need to stop asking for the bare minimum. Stop being afraid to dream big, okay? Because even though if you've tried to manifest something that seems huge, and you remain faithful maybe for a couple months, imagining every night, something like that, just because it hasn't come at that point in time doesn't mean it's not coming, and it doesn't mean it's not meant for you. But one thing to look at is in that time, were you still living in desire? Were you living wondering if it'll come true? Were you living the majority of the time in a state that does not imply you already have it? And if we take a cold hard look at what our thoughts and feelings and imaginings are throughout the day, oftentimes if we don't get what we're manifesting, the answer is, okay, yeah, I've spent a lot of time worrying, fearing, doubting, being impatient. So it's not that you failed, it's just that you didn't assume the state. You didn't remain faithful to it and make it your dwelling place, which is what will manifest, right? The state to which you return most often constitutes your dwelling place and therefore will be reflected in your world. Neville Goddard said that. So there's multiple levels to this situation. I don't want to call them problems, but first of all, it's, are you actually practicing the mental diet necessary to remain in the state? And it doesn't mean that you have to be super happy, ecstatic 24/7. It just means, can you ignore or take your attention away from the patterns of thought that reflect lack, limitation? So that means any fear, doubt, worry, or impatience about it. And it can be difficult. I've mentioned this example before, but when the bills need to be paid and the date's getting closer and you don't see where that money's going to come from, it can be very difficult. But if you remain faithful, then it shall be done for you. Okay? But instead, oftentimes we let the imagined consequences of what might happen make us feel bad instead of allowing the imagined intention of our desire fulfilled make us feel relaxed and peaceful. What is the dominant feeling in your mind? Because feeling is the secret. What you feel, what you think feelingly is going to manifest. So if you're spending more time thinking feelingly on bad outcomes, consequences, then you are aligning yourself with these things. And I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm saying it just to help you become aware. Because these things have no power in and of themselves. It is your reaction to them. Okay, so if you keep reacting negatively to these thoughts of lack, thoughts of limitation, and then you also react by thinking that you failed to manifest the big thing you want, and you go down to the bare minimum. Instead of the abundance you were asking for, you say, I just need enough to pay this bill. Okay, then you are definitely operating from a lack mindset. Now, here's the matrix of this situation that we want to break out of. Your mind does not like change. Okay, your mind is going to do anything and everything it can to keep you comfortable. All right, and I say comfortable kind of in air quotations because it's not very comfortable to stay in a state of desperation and need. But we've become so used to the feeling of need, desperation, even suffering, that we end up compromising on our feelings in the hope that we'll get what is honestly less than enough, right? If you get the bare minimum, which you end up manifesting out of compromise, it's only enough to keep you in the cycle of desperation. So if you compromise and you say, I just need enough to pay this bill, then you pay the bill. Next month, the same thing is going to happen. So the key is to understand how in each and every moment now, because now is all there is, Learn to relax. Learn to feel peace. Learn to feel comfort, because these are things that you would naturally feel if you had the abundance you desire. Okay? The reason I use abundance so much as an example for this is because it's something that I struggled with for such a long time. Okay? I took a big leap giving up on my degree in finance, right? I was so depressed. Working a 9 to 5 job, I was already depressed in life. Things were not good. And that's what started my spiritual journey in the first place, being able to listen to audios in that 9 to 5 job. So I put on Alan Watts, okay? And then I found Sadhguru, and then I found Paramahansa Yogananda. It led me through a whole wonderful process that got me here. And I'm so, so thankful. But it was not a comfortable process, because I made the jump from a job that pays you enough. It wasn't super comfortable, but it pays you enough to get by, into a situation where you don't know if the money's going to come. And that was even before I understood what Neville Goddard was talking about. So it's just an example that really hits close to home, but it applies to everything. If you are compromising on your desires in any way, any shape or form, asking for the bare minimum, which really is less than enough, then you have lost your trust in that feeling of desire, which is actually God speaking to you, telling you what is yours already. Okay? Listen to that again if you really want to get that point down, because it's so true. It's so true. When we don't honor our feeling, right? Feeling is all there is. This physical world is a world of shadows. So we let this physical world and the world of the senses, the physical circumstances, inspire feelings within us, oftentimes negative, if we don't have that mental fortitude, right? If we don't let the conscious mind be the watchman at the gate, preventing anything from entering the feeling nature of the subconscious unless it is in alignment with our ideal. So how in alignment with your ideal, not your bare minimum, but your ideal, is it for you to say, well, actually, instead of going for what I really want, I'll just accept the least. I'll just accept at least this. That is not at all in alignment with your ideal. You are meant to be abundant. You are meant to be loved. You are meant to be comfortable. Everything that you desire, you're meant to have it. But we get so caught up on the circumstances that we forget that these things are really just feelings that already exist within us. So how do we fix this? Well, one thing that I do recommend is to first notice where you are compromising on your desires. Maybe you want a large income. You don't have to pick a number. Sometimes picking a number creates more trouble than good, because then we're constantly looking at what we're making and comparing it to our desire, and therefore making us feel worse. So instead, look at the feeling that you're actually after. Okay? Maybe it's freedom. Maybe it's love. Maybe it's comfort. Maybe it's abundance. Okay? Whatever it is that you're after, recognize that feeling. And then go into meditation. Whatever you like to do, watch the breath. Do the countdown technique that I used to share all the time. Just observe your thoughts and let them go again and again and again until you reach that stillness, until you reach that 0 point, the void. Okay? And when you reach the void, make an effort, a conscious effort, an effortless effort to forget the world, to forget all your past experience, which tells you that you have to settle for less, that you have to compromise on your desires. All of this. Forget this entire physical world. Forget who you think you are. Forget what you think you know. Start from scratch. Start from scratch. And don't visualize anything. Don't try to affirm anything. But simply recognize that feeling that you know you're after from before, and let it well up within you. And if you don't know how to access a feeling of freedom, a feeling of abundance, the feeling that you desire, you can ask within yourself, what is this feeling? What is true abundance? What is true love? What is true fulfillment? Without anything physical inspiring that within you, without any visualization, affirmation, scripting, anything to inspire that within you, just pure, raw feeling. Okay, and let that well up within you. And asking questions is a wonderful way to make that happen because then it opens your mind. That's why I've recommended affirmations like, how did I get such a wonderful abundance mindset? How did I get such a marvelous health consciousness? Okay, those are just examples, but they're wonderful questions. And it has been said that the quality of our life is determined by the quality of the questions we ask ourselves. So you can ask in that stillness, what is truly the feeling of fulfillment, whatever that fulfillment means to you? And don't let anything spoil it. Don't try to make a visualization that you can compare your physical circumstances to moment by moment. Get familiar, get so familiar with that feeling, just the feeling, that you can call upon it and access it and activate it anytime, anywhere, no matter what's happening. Okay? And it might take practice. Sometimes things happen and it makes us react to this world negatively. So instead, respond to that. Say, okay, I reacted. That's all right. And then relax. Deep breaths. And call upon that feeling of what you truly desire. Not fearfully saying within yourself, I'll take the bare minimum. I'll just take this much. I'll just take that. Okay, there's no virtue in asking for less. Asking for less does not increase the likelihood of your manifestation success. I'll say that again. Asking for less does not increase the likelihood of your manifestation success. Your manifestation success is entirely dependent on your inner activity of mind. So in fact, asking for less is an activity of lack. It's an activity of lack. Okay, so every time you settle, every time you compromise, you are just impressing the subconscious with the feeling that you're unworthy, or that not all things are possible to you, that miracles can't happen for you. Wayne Dyer said, I am realistic. I expect miracles. Do you have the trust? Do you have the faith? Do you have that fire burning within you that can help you be the same and expect miracles? Can you imitate God as a dear child with that sense of wonder, chasing wholeheartedly, without fear, that which you truly desire? Okay? And not the physical aspect of it, but that feeling. It's all about the feeling. Experience is nothing without the feeling. Nothing. In truth, feeling is the meaning of every physical experience. Neville Goddard said that the quote in the Bible, in the beginning there was the Word was with God, the Word was God. The word translates to meaning. So it all comes down to meaning. It all comes down to feeling. So what are you feeling when you're compromising on your desires? What are you feeling when you say, well, I would really like more loving attention from my partner, but I'll take just a compliment. I'll take one date and then go back to the way things were. I'll settle for feeling suffering and like I'm not enough and all this negativity and hurt. I'll settle to stay in the cycle of desperation, of need, even suffering. No. Choose faith, choose power, choose to honor that feeling within you. Please, for all our sake, because all is one. All is one. If you can handle this stuff within yourself, if you can figure this out in your own consciousness, you are helping the world. Okay, and I'm not trying to put pressure on you, but you are really helping the world, because the more of us that are willing to go wholeheartedly after what we desire and to eliminate, to weed out these thoughts and feelings of lack consciousness, of unworthiness in the mind, there's only one mind. It's a shared mind. And so you help the whole world do the same. And that's why if you're happy, you tend to see the world as a happy place. Or if you're suffering, you see the world as a world of suffering. Your world is a reflection of you. So if you're asking for less, if you're settling for the bare minimum, then what is going to reflect in your world? It's going to reflect to you that there's not enough. There's not enough. So as uncomfortable as it may be, stop asking for the bare minimum. Maybe this went on for a while, but I feel like this is one of the biggest things that has come to me in recent history because I noticed it in myself. Whether it's about putting out a video or offering something new, like the new private community that's going to be available the first of the year. Am I asking for the bare minimum? Thinking I need to get something out of this. I need to get at least this much so that people will think I'm enough. If I get this many people to join my community and they like what I offer, then I'm enough. Then I'm worthy, right? But you cannot put these things to the outside world. Worthiness comes from within. Feeling like you're enough comes from within. And so the mind will try and take anything that is pushing you out of your comfort zone, anything that will make you grow, and perverts it and starts to put pressure, right? That's what happens when we ask for just the bare minimum after a process of thinking that we failed. Then we end up putting pressure because it's like, well, I'm only asking for the bare minimum. If I don't get this, then I'll never change. Then I can never change this aspect of my life. And that's such an intense pressure, and it's coming straight from a mindset, a state of consciousness of pure lack. Pure lack. So please, for all of us, recognize the feeling you're after and honor that feeling. So I'm sure you found this helpful. If you're interested, you can check out my Stan store linked in the description or in the pinned comment to see what I have to offer. If you're watching this before the first of the year, January 1st, 2024, I will be launching a private manifestation community with all sorts of goodies and benefits for you. I'll post some info about that below as well. As always, thank you so much for watching. I love you all very much, and I will see you next time. Take care.